Hey y'all, welcome to my channel. Um, please subscribe if you wish to subscribe. I would love, for more subscribers and more often, love to see your comments. I do try to read my comments and answer my comments. Any questions that are left in my comments, I do try to answer them to the best of my ability. And I try to, and when I'm notified as well too. But please leave any comments or feedbacks for that matter as well too. Um, so today I should have discussed it yesterday, but I was like, I was going to hold off and let's see what happens in the news later. But I figured, you know what, screw it. Let me just talk about it today. Um, George Santos. So he is now the representative elect for the district I actually live in, which is the New York 3rd District, Congressional District, which is in Long Island. And he's taking over for Thomas Suozzi. Now, for those who don't know who George Santos is, he is a uh, Republican representative that was elected recently in the midterm elections, 2022 elections for the 3rd Congressional District. He tried one time as well too in 2020 during COVID, where he lost to Thomas Suozzi, who was a Democrat, and I am familiar with that. I thought one big thing was he was in the he's representing the district or one of the districts I'm in. Basically, it was one of those things where I was really surprised because my district is relatively known to be mostly Democrat. The fact that he won as a Republican really caught me off guard. And I think, okay, so there another backstory to this is the fact is like every case is the third congressional district in New York. It's relatively known for being affluent in uh, the Jewish minority, the Jewish community, as well as non-Jews Jewish community, but a little bit more affluent, to be quite honest. Um, as far as Glen Cove is, being in Glen Cove, Roslyn, Jamaica States, I think Port Washington. I can't remember exactly all of the third congressional districts. Actually, you know what? Let me see. I could probably find that out very quickly. Third congressional district is basically, yeah, Glen Cove, Huntington, Northport, Hicksville, Great Neck. Um, yeah, and also Port Washington as well too. So Great Neck and all, and Manhasset and such, basically. I mean, it used to be smaller, and then it grew bigger. Basically, I think that was more of like readjustments and based on whatever was needed at that point in time. But in any case, um, it's been a little bit of a case where the way Santos won was just pure out from lies, as you can see and read and hear from the news or see in the news or read in the news for that matter. Santos claiming that he was Jewish, not Jewish, of course. He's a Roman Catholic, which no problem there. But did he use that as a fact of like saying like being Jewish that he would gain, the votes? Another aspect as well too is being the fact that he's gay. Okay, whether he's gay or not, it doesn't matter. I mean, is he using those aspects of basically for that to win the congressional seat basically at that point? Uh, a lot of things that he's said so far has been pure out lies. Like again, being Jewish, the fact that he graduated from college, which he didn't. It says that he worked at Citigroup and Goldman Sachs, which he never did. Basically, everything on his resume is pretty much a straight out lie, to be quite honest. He says he owned properties, which he doesn't. Denies committing any crimes, even though there's actually a warrant on him in Brazil that he was in, I don't know about a warrant, but more of a case of like he did commit a crime of like fraudulent uh, writing checks, bad checks in a with writing back checks with a stolen checkbook in Brazil. Uh, he also said that he lost 4 employees at the 2016 Pulse Gay Club in Orlando. No, they never worked for his company at all, for that matter. I mean, they never worked for him, basically. And like the fact he said he was Jewish, I mean, he said, well, I was a Jew dash ish, meaning that his grandparents were Jewish and they converted. He misled everyone basically at this point. And so the question that comes down to is this: is one, the man's a known liar. So the question comes down to is this: can he be trusted now? I mean, honestly, I don't know. He didn't violate any laws, to be elected. He was in New York. He doesn't have to be in a location that he was at. I mean, for that congressional district, to be quite honest. But he didn't violate any election laws or election fraud. He did lie. So now the real question is like, can he be, what can he be known for in the congressional aspect of things, basically, when he's in Congress, when he does come into Congress? I'm not entirely sure. Honestly, I think this story has not ended entirely. Just like with Anthony Weiner, I don't think the story has ended. I think if there are some investigative journalists that go delve deeper into him, I have a feeling there's going to be a lot more that meets the eye with this George Santos fellow, to be quite honest. And this almost reminds me, to the point, like, how he got elected. It almost reminds me a little bit of like that movie Distinguished Gentleman, basically, where Eddie Murphy played a con artist that went off of someone else's name and won himself into a seat of Congress because of using someone else's name at that point. And then basically was using Congress to, like, gain money at that point. Like, basically being a congressman, you get lobby money and all that stuff. So you have some form of revenue and all that stuff. So that was one of those things that, like, was a little surprising at this point. Like, it's like one of those things where, like, Santos being a Republican, I don't know if he's going to damage the Republican Party. I don't know if this is on purpose, but it seems like this is a man that, in his quote unquote resume, were pure out lies. Basically, he never graduated, as he said, and he's nowadays, when he's being confronted with it, he's just chuckling about it. Honestly, if I'm an investigative journalist, if I'm a really investigative journalist or some form of journalist, I investigate very, very deeply into this man. Like, go into him, like, not as far as like go as far as like research into him, like look into his past, look into his history, see what it is, because I have a feeling this is not the end of it. Like I said, like at Anthony Weiner, it was not the end of Anthony Weiner. If you go further into this, there's probably going to be a lot more things there that's going to be that more than meets the eye. This man is, it seems like he's a con artist, to be quite honest with you. And it's not because of the fact that this man also won the, well, Swazi basically Swazi could have probably won re-election if he decided to rerun, but he chose not to. In this case, Santos lost in 2020. I think he was relatively unknown at that time. It's just the fact that he won now, and the fact that, because I think it's more scrutiny, because the fact is you know what, him and a few others in New York basically converted what was known as Democratic congressional seats to Republican seats, which gave the Republican base an edge in the House at this point. So with this, it's a question of like, okay, if he can lie, how many other people can lie at this point as well too? But the real question comes down to is like, what is the Republican Party going to do about it? It's going to be really funny and interesting to see, because like the Republican Party doesn't want to, like, remove him, because if they do, that's like one less seat at that point. Will there be another held re-election? Honestly, I don't know. Because the thing is like, if you could get a Democrat to come back in again at this point, honestly, I don't know who Santos ran against. He ran against Democrat Robert Zimmerman. Zimmerman was gay as well too, openly gay as well too. So that's one of the things I think, that was going for Santos, was the fact that he was gay, part of the LGBTQ community, plus to the fact that he said he was Jewish. If he used those two to gain the election, okay, that's a really tricky kind of thing, basically. And the other factor is like, there seems to be a little bit of loan. They said that he hasn't done anything illegal, but this fact of loaning himself to the election $700,000, I think that's going to be a little interesting to find out, like, where that money came from exactly. And I think if it finds out that there was some, election impropriety, oh, good luck with him, basically. As I said, I think it's more of a case where, like, someone needs to look more into him, basically, and figure out more about him, basically. If you investigate further into him and into his history, into his background a little bit more as well too, you're probably going to find a lot more other stuff that's going to be really surprising at that point. I have a feeling he says he's not, like, he was never charged with a crime, but in Brazil there is record of him actually committing with a stolen checkbook, basically writing false checks with a stolen checkbook. He said he never did it. He did. And there's actual proof, and he's like, oh, that's not me, that's someone else. Yet the person that was filed against has the name of his parents as well too. The likelihood of someone having the exact same name, and his parents' exact same name makes no, like that's the likelihood of that is like very, very, very minimal, to be quite honest. Um, and the fact that he beat Zimmerman by like 8 percentage points uh, is a little tricky as well too. Honestly, I don't know what Zimmerman did. I wasn't there to see, hear the election. I honestly thought because this district, the third New York district number 3, basically was well known to be, mostly blue. So it's kind of surprising that he actually, a Republican actually won this. But then again, McCarthy in the other aspect, I forgot which district she's at. The fact that she beat the political machine back then, based on the fact of like the gun lobby, against the gun lobby, won against that was impressive in and of itself at that point too. So this is something different as well too. So, like I said, George Santos, I don't think this is the end. This is only probably the beginning. There's probably going to be a lot more if they look more into it, basically. I'd be really surprised if there's anything that they find. I'd be surprised if there's anything that they find is anything mild. I think there's going to be some more major stuff in play at this point as well too, and it'd be interesting to see what it is basically. And I have a feeling there might have been a few laws broken here and there as well too along the ways. I have a feeling, and it's a question now what Kevin McCarthy does at this point and what the rest of the Republican Party, because like. The Republican Jewish National Coalition or something like that. I forgot the exact thing where he basically talked over at there. They're like disassociating him now. I was like, you know what? You deceived us. You are no longer invited. Finally, people are stepping up and actually doing the right thing at this point. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here with him. Outside of that, if you let me know, guys, know what you think. If you guys know any more information about him, let me know as well too. I mean, heck. But if you let me know, I think you should let others know at that point as well too. To be quite honest, that'd be great to know. Outside of that, I got nothing much else to say except unfiltered, unedited, and unrehearsed. Until next time.